Welcome to a new episode of Building an LGB Garden Railway. In the last episode, we showed you how we switch turnouts digitally. Today we want to show you how we can switch the signals digitally. I'd be happy to show you that on my iPad. And how we can keep doing this, Michelle's happy to show on the terrace.
Exactly. I have prepared everything we need so that the signal can then be switched via the central station 3. Rewinding briefly back to the beginning of our series, we had driven with the classic throttle from LGB. This is the throttle controller included with starter packs and the power supply. We used it initially. We no longer use that now with the digital system. Now the central station 3 is used as a digital control unit. That means we indeed no longer require the conventional control panel with the switches here either. In the future, the CS3 will actually do that too. And we no longer need to utilize the converter that powers the control panel. That means the two components can now simply be set aside. For that purpose, we don't need them anymore. Now, it's really just the combination of these two components that significantly comes into play. So, the CS3, as a sophisticated digital control unit and a digital magnetic article decoder, which we have right here, is capable of controlling up to 4 magnetic articles efficiently. This could be, for example, 4 signals or 4 switches. We have already shown how that works. In the case of signals, it's ultimately almost the same, but with an extra feature, a light for signals. So, what do we need? We need this box, some tools, and a few cables. First thing, I've prepared, we connect the decoder to the CS3. I'm putting a stop to this right now. It's all ready. And we just plug that in at the back. So this would now be the cable that goes to the system, and I would run it a second time from our ring circuit, which we have already built, to the decoder, and it just goes into the spot where red and blue can be seen here. I have black and white here now. It doesn't matter. The only crucial thing is that it is simply later back on the system in the correct cable color. So, speak in such a way that we do it the same everywhere. So, my screwdriver was right here on the side. Then I'll unscrew this again so that we can screw the wires into there. So here we are again, and now just carefully insert it right in there. Once here. And screw tight, ensuring it's securely fastened. Once on the other side, repeat the screwing tight to ensure stability. With that, our digital decoder, immediately upon turning on the CS3, is already powered. It not only receives power, but is also directly supplied with the digital signal from the CS3, ensuring it's ready for operation without delay. These decoders have a so-called MFX protocol. This is a protocol that automatically recognizes the decoder. That means, if I actually turn on the CS3 here now, then I can smoothly swipe down in the list of magnetic articles right at the top, and then press edit here, and can now begin to search for a new MFX article here. And since this decoder is what's known as an MFX item, I can just have it discovered now. I say he should definitely get a new address. Just press OK here, and now the CS3 rattles a bit, searches, and searches, and searches, and would ultimately gather all the decoders again that are on the layout. So these can be very different turnout or signal decoders, and we see it has already been recognized. This decoder and various magnetic articles also appear at the top now, which have just been created here as turnouts. We can either leave it as it is now, if they were switches, but we want to connect signals to it here. So we will change that in a moment. I'll just go up here and click on Edit, and then click on Edit Article List. And for our facility, we have already planned switches. That means, for example, I now want to control several switches and already the signals. And that's why I would now, for example, leave the first 2 articles, so A1 and A2, as soft for now. And the A3, I would change that now. And then I can say down here at A3, for example, I want to program a semaphore signal here. And what we just witnessed at Elke's was indeed a semaphore signal, utilizing 2 arms. That means I can now control it so it's exactly that. This would be the one on the second side. I have a different signal and could take it, which would have 1 wing. Then I just take the first symbol. Then that also fits in really well here in terms of symbolism. And now I can just press edit up here again, and then this is actually already connected or already finished. Now I can securely close everything up here once more. And at this juncture, I could already proceed to switch my signal in the detailed image on the CS3. So, let's go green because our signal is already green too. Now comes the second task. Now we actually have to, I always stop, we have to connect the signal with the decoder, and that is as easy as it can be because we just need another cable. In that case, we stick with the colors orange and orange-white or white and orange depending on the situation, and just connect it here. And now I have said, I want to take the third picture here, so A1, A2, A3, so here it would be A, B, and C in that case. So the third accessory would be my C, and accordingly, I now simply connect the orange cable here to the orange socket. I'll show this really quickly here on the camera. Can you see that? A, B, C. And here C is orange. And now my orange cable just goes down to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's so C there. Here, this is where it goes in. And now I'm just going to screw it on tight for a moment. Hopefully one can see. Otherwise, I'll show it again in detail right away. Now we go here on the side next to it with the white, or insert the orange-white cable and carefully, firmly secure it tightly. And with that, half of the task is already done. So it really doesn't take long, it's done quickly. This is not rocket science. They're firm. We can leave that outside. It's weatherproof, like the signal. I'd prefer putting the CS3 inside or under the pergola, shielded from weather. So, in the signal, it's easy because two colors reappear. We've got orange and white. That means I'm also going to unscrew this here now with the screwdriver so that we can put the cables in here in a moment. And now, the orange cable simply needs to be connected right here. So, cable 1 is successfully set in place. And we'll screw this back on here at the front. And now the orange-white cable goes here onto the white socket. And there it is. So there he comes from down there. Adjust it again, just so it fits better. Okay, once more it's in. Now we tighten it.
So, aber jetzt ist es drin. Und jetzt schrauben wir das auch noch fest. So.
We'll do that again later in the system in the garden, of course. I've only prepared it here now. The two cables are tight. The two cables are tight. Now we have another. I'll cover that soon. Let's skip it for now. That's not connected yet, just hanging from the table. Ignoring it if all's correct, hoping. I press stop and can turn the system, the CS3, back on. And if I now gently press this A3 here, the third symbol, then it surprisingly already worked. My signal should seamlessly switch from red to green, and so on and so forth, without any issues. So this has already worked, and now I can switch the system with the CS3 and can also switch the signal with the CS3, and after we have also connected it with the network cable, Elke can now also control signals and switches from the lounge chair in the garden with the tablet or with the smartphone. Alternatively, I could also join in and say, on my smartphone I control the signals, and Elke controls, for example, the speed of the locomotives on her smartphone when we want to stop them manually. So one cable is left over, this is it here, and this cable, it's now also going to be connected to the power of the CS3. That means, in the best case scenario, one would get a distributor or terminals and bring these cables together. So the black cable to the black cable and the white cable to the white cable, and would also power the signal again with a current. I'm unsure if we've depleted our cable clamps. Is there another? I'll confirm with our team behind the cameras if they can hand one over. Do we have one? Yes, those work too. So, everyone off. And everyone off. Jui. So, this would now also be possible, for example, that we say we go in here into one terminal, and then we just distribute this cable, so that then we come out of the CS3 here. That would work too. Exactly, so the simplest trick would be, well, now we just have to reinstall it in the system, and of course you can also nicely conceal it again, for example by hiding it under a small house where there might be a telephone, or we could hide it somewhere under a stone. So we can really get creative with this, but that's actually all the magic, how we can also very nicely operate the signals with the CS3. Everything you need to recreate this is linked in the description text below this video, and the next thing we will show is a bit of the automation, how we can now use switches and signals automatically in the garden with magnetic items, in this case, real magnets, so that the train itself decides with an event control what should happen here in the CS3.